There's your tunes, and then there's our tunes.
Gold.
There's YouTube and our. Oh, damn. Did I say it wrong?
And that's why you don't do it.
Let the record show there was an attempt.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to PT3600 Season 2. Yay. My name is Ryan Amore. I will be your guide through this episode, along with...
Ashton, what up, guys?
And...
Hey, it's Josh again.
But a very special guest...
Hey, it's your boy Young Cholesterol, a.k.a. St. Crown Music, a.k.a. Captain Hook, a.k.a. Oh my god, what are the other nicknames?
The other was Catnip, I think,
Yeah,
at one time.
Catnip. Karashai.
Yeah, Karashai was another one. Yeah, yep. There was so many. The man of many names. Stephen Kerber is here with us today. How you doing, man?
I am doing well.
Man,
Glad
it
to
is.
be here.
This is a podcast that has been a long time coming. We have been talking about having you on for a really long time, and it was like, oh man, you know who'd be a really good one to have on here? Steven would have be a good one. And we got to talk about music. So this topic throughout this is PT3600 is a podcast that is 1 hour, 3,600 seconds to be precise. And at the end of this, we are going to play one of your amazing tracks that just came out.
Ooh,
Sheep
yes.
will be played at the end of this. So stay tuned for that. But our topic of today is, like we said, music. So who better yet to do that is somebody that has a real good passion for
Burning hot
music.
passion.
Yeah, burning hot physical passion for music. This is something that like for me, I've always wanted to do YouTube, and for you've always wanted to do music ever since your family is really into the music stuff. Your mom has been a part of a band that my dad was a part of, so it's like
Small
it's
world.
like
Oh,
a
that's
very
funny.
big
Wow.
it's definitely runs through your veins a lot. So we'll get into that a little bit. But I guess why don't you tell us a little about yourself? Why music is so much of a passion for you? I guess
All right. Well,
maybe let's do like if you elevator pitch of why music is
elevator pitch.
yeah,
All
like
right.
a 2-minute, 3-minute thing.
I don't know
little
if I can
bio.
speak for that long. I mean, I can, but I don't know if
Or
I can stay on
shorter, or
topic that long. You know, it's weird because I always say that my mom's my inspiration for music, but when I was growing up, she wasn't, because I mean, she's an incredible lyricist, she's an incredible pianist, but I got so annoyed because I would wake up in the morning to her playing the same piece over and over and over again because she was trying to get it right, because she plays these complex pieces. I couldn't remember any of the names of them because they're all, classical pieces, and I know nothing about that. But she would be, halfway through, 3/4 through these pieces and playing them flawlessly from my perspective of it. And just hearing it over and over and over again, the first, 10, 15 times is like, this is really, really good. And then you get a little bit more into it as you're going about your day and she's still playing. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
switch to something else.
Yeah. Is there another song on that piano?
But she incorporated music into a lot of our daily life. She was a caregiver when she was my age, and she played piano and did a lot of singing, songwriting for, I'm trying to remember, some of the local nursing homes around the area.
Mm-hmm.
And she would try to coax my little brother Brandon and I to go and perform or do something of that nature during these little performances she'd have, to get us involved in it and try to get us to help give back to the community. And we tried. We weren't very good, but I had my little Yamaha guitar because I thought I was great playing the one chord I could play and attempting to do whatever it was I was doing. I mean, it was cringeworthy, but it was my first real experience.
You and your
creating
fedora.
something. Yeah. Oh my god! Don't remind me. But yeah, just that first experience of creating music, or what my idea of music was at that point, really drove it home for me, because it was something that, you hear on the radio all the time. You hear, just throughout daily life, you hear music, and you're like, oh man, it'd be amazing to be able to sing or play guitar or rap or whatever. And then you attempt to do it, and whether you're good or bad at it, it's awesome because you get over that initial fear, that initial like, oh my gosh, this sucks. You get over that, and you're like, man, this is probably one of the most freeing things I've ever done. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I've been finding opportunities and working my hardest to put out music and just create music to better myself and to open my mind. So
that's pretty cool. Like, I mean, I want to open it up to you guys too of whatever questions you have for them. Like, I'll have some stuff to like kind of steer the ship here, but like, if you have what's going on?
Are you picking up?
I'm not talking into a
microphone.
Okay.
All right.
I have a different source of audio here, but
It was freaking me out. Sorry, it was just throwing me off. I'm like,
no, I definitely can hear myself through
okay,
this.
okay, good.
But yeah, I mean, like, what questions do you guys? I mean, he's been on stages. He's been like journeyed through some tough places too. Like, I've definitely heard some of the dark stories. So I don't know if you guys want to ask him any of those questions.
How old were you when you first started all that stuff?
Oh, I don't know, 13, probably somewhere in there. I mean, I wrote lyrics down probably as early as 11 or 12 because I was homeschooled, and that's a weird experience, I'll tell you what. But it's a whole nother ball of wax. But we had mostly computer-based classes, and there was like a notepad function, and I'd listen to music, whether it was like Christian music or secular music on the radio, and I would write out my own lyrics. They were stupid. They didn't make any sense, but it was just like my first real like experience creating lyrics. So, but yeah, like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there.
It's a big gap.
Did you switch genres then? Because you were talking about like playing Yamaha guitar. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of go back and forth because there's a lot that I listen to, but then there's also a lot that I attempt to make. Some of it turns out better than others, but when I first started, it was mostly guitar, and I knew like 3 or 4 chords, and we ended up actually forming a worship team at the church Ryan and I used to go to, and I played guitar on that for a little bit, and so it was mostly like pop rock type stuff.
Oh, okay.
But then I kind of got more out of the homeschool realm and into more like the real world. Mm-hmm. And I went to Newmarket High School in Tumwater, and I met this dude named Lucas, goes by Luke Red. And I had never met anybody that like rapped before. And this dude was from Arizona. Like, he had music in his blood. And we used to sit outside before class in his car, and he'd play these instrumentals from like Hobson, like back before Hobson was big. Like, he had the Funk Volume, who was it? Kato, that produced all his beats, and he had these beat tapes, and so he'd play these tapes on his just garbage stereo, and we'd sit there, and he'd be like, "Dude, you got to freestyle, you got to drop something." And I'm sitting here like, I don't even know how to make 2 words rhyme, let alone do it on cue. But from there on, we hung out like almost every other day. I go down to his house, and we just listened to beats, whether we actually did anything or not. But at that point, it's like, this is really cool. I don't know if I'm equipped to try this new thing, but it feels different than the worship team. It feels different than like rock style stuff. It's a whole different mindset, and it's a whole different approach that you have to take. So
yeah, because I remember like even when we were growing up and we were going through the church, it's like it almost seemed like every single instrument you either like wanted to do, and then you just learned it, and then like. But you couldn't read a lick of music at all.
Yeah,
so it's like
and that has not changed.
Yeah, you were just trying to find like what sounds good. And then we didn't have a guitarist for a long time, so they brought you up there, and they were like, "Hey, you know how to play guitar?" It's
Try
like,
that.
Yeah. So like, what was your fascination with trying to learn with so much of those instruments that like because I know Brandon loves playing the piano. And I know that your mom loves playing the piano. So it's like, what made you want to break out of like the piano part and pick up that Yamaha guitar, or start dropping the beats on your laptop of like your hand-me-down laptop that you kept trying to get? And then it seemed like every time I saw you had a different laptop, you were trying to get Fruity Loops on there.
Because I kept crashing them.
Yeah. So like, what was those steps that you were trying to like do?
You know, it's kind of hard to think back on that because I had so much going on in my head, and that was such a weird pivotal moment during the whole transitioning from homeschool to public school and being involved in the church at that time. And I think I was curious because Marky Mark.
Oh, yep.
When we had that snow retreat.
Okay.
I think it was him or somebody else had an acoustic guitar and he was playing it and he was just thumbing around and I was like, that seems really cool. Like, how hard could it be?
Yeah, no.
It's opened up a
if Mark can
huge
do it,
can
then
of
I
worms.
can do it.
but and that was also the time that I started getting into like DJ equipment and sound equipment in general because he had all this stuff. He had that little DJ rig with him that he brought up to run sound during the chapel thing.
Yeah.
And he would show me how to use that and how to use the jog and pitch wheel on it to like get the music to start over or from forever it was at. And it just, I think watching him know what he was doing and be confident, but not like showing off, wanting to show somebody else how to do it. Like that was kind of where I was like, this is really awesome. I trust him enough to where like I could attempt to try this and show him and maybe he'll think it's cool. Maybe he'll laugh at me, but either way, like, this is my first attempt.
Yeah.
So.
And he was willing to walk you down those.
Absolutely. And I think he was the first person to let me borrow an instrument before I got that little Yamaha, because I got that as a Christmas gift, I think, the next year from my mom. But yeah, he let me borrow his Montana acoustic, and I brought that home, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing with it. But I mean, I figured out, I think I watched a bunch of YouTube videos. I figured out how to play like the G chord, C chord, and that's kind of where I started figuring out, okay, well, what songs can I play using these chords? And I started looking up tablature, which is a whole different style from chords. It's like numbered on the fretboard versus
like
chords and stuff.
Ukulele, mandolin. Those
Yeah,
instruments.
exactly.
We
And
usually use those. So.
and I started playing along to the radio, and that's where I started, I think, getting that listening by ear thing, because I didn't have internet. Like, my parents had internet, so every once in a while I could get on because they had that old computer that they had like they didn't pay for internet. They had this weird like free internet online thing that.
Oh, like the
Back in the
AOL,
day.
like
Yeah, I
testing
can't
thing.
remember what the heck it was called, but it was some
Here's
weird
a week
thing.
of free internet.
Yeah, they send you the CDs in the mail. Yeah.
But yeah, I played to the radio while my mom was gone because she taught piano, and I think it was like Cube 93 back before they changed it and everything. But they were playing all these old rap songs, and I just thought it was the coolest thing to be able to get the guitar out and try to play some notes and find which ones fit the sound that the song was playing. And that was like step one, was figuring out how to match, which is fairly easy because it's pretty easy to hear the pitch of a guitar or a piano or something and match it to what you're hearing from another speaker. The next step was figuring out how to make your own sounds that fit with it.
Got it. Okay.
That took a long time, and I'm still like, that's kind of a daily thing, honestly, both of them sometimes. But figuring out how to do, I think the technical term for it is harmony.
Okay.
So like, from my understanding, melody is the main structure that the song follows, and then harmony is like a combination of background and then like what fits with it to kind of accent it. So, but learning harmony with an instrument, and then now where I'm at is I'm experimenting with it lyrically and trying to learn how to sing that, and that's
Trying
a
to
whole
flow
nother
with
thing.
Sound. That
Yeah,
kind of
because
goes
like you listen to these songs where vocalists, I mean, like Bruno Mars, Ed Sheeran, like these male singers are able to do things with their voices that I've never thought possible, and then trying to figure out how to emulate that and make your voice do that's crazy.
So do you try to find people that sound like you to go with that?
You know, I think at first I did. I think there was a week-long process when I first started trying to sing where I would find artists and be like, all right, this kind of sounds like the same general range that I can hit. This sounds a little bit like my voice. And then I kind of got to a point where like, but they don't make the same type of music I do. They don't, it's not the same feel. Like, they're not even singing about the same thing. So what's the point? But I've kind of gone back and forth through that in rap because there's a lot of people, there's so many different kinds of rappers. There's so many different styles, and there's so many different little traits that rappers have. So, and I think the two biggest look-alike, sound-alikes for me would probably be Action Bronson, for obvious reasons.
Wouldn't have said that one. It's not like that was on the back of my head there.
Action Bronson and oh my god, people have compared me to other artists, and I can't remember who, but I think my buddy compared me to Logic, just as the style of
There's a couple flows you have that are
like that's what I mean. The flows, the back and forth, and the thing about that is it's not necessarily my style, because you can copy that. I mean, look at Drake. He's out here doing this Jamaican style flow thing, and he's
from, what, Toronto or
yeah,
what is he
exactly.
from?
Yeah. He's taking all these other flows and
He's from Degrassi.
Oh boy.
But
hey, that man learned to walk.
Through adversity, he triumphed.
Through the struggles.
oh my god,
It's God's plan.
Yeah, exactly.
but like just the different flows that people have, and I listen to a lot of different artists, more rap than anything else. But there's so many different styles.
Yeah,
but maybe more, maybe not so much Logic, but maybe like LP. LP, if you don't know, is the other half of Run the Jewels.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's Killer Mike and LP. LP is
he's
a big fat ginger dude.
Yeah,
Who looks
he's
just
the
like
one.
me. So-
Hey, both of them were in Gears of War. They were DLC characters in Gears of
Yep.
War 4. Yeah,
Yeah, I love Run the Jewels, man.
that album's pretty good too. The one that they used for some of the advertisements they did.
Mm-hmm.
So let's segue into that. Let's bring everybody back into the conversation here. So what are your guys' like favorite artists? Let's talk about our favorite artists. Do we want to do?
Ooh.
Well, let's do. Do you guys need a couple minutes? Or you
No.
Oh,
Okay. No. Okay.
They
So
know
then
already.
We'll start with Ashton, then go to Josh, then go to me, and then we'll go back to Steven. And we'll do one each.
One
Explain
each?
a little bit, 1 to 2 minutes of it, and then we'll
How
maybe
about-
go one more round.
Maybe we should do genres first.
Oh, you want to
Ooh,
do genre?
okay.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
I was
sure.
actually thinking the same thing,
Okay.
because I got a couple like different
Oh, yeah.
genres.
All right.
Because maybe like
let's limit to
genre
two.
and then
Your two
favorite artist
genres.
from that
Shit,
genre.
2 favorite
Your
genres?
2 favorite. Okay.
Oh.
Do you need a minute?
I will need a minute.
Okay, we'll
That
go
is-
with Josh. And
Well, I know my first one. I didn't really.
Well, then let's start with one. Then.
Okay.
Then we'll go back around.
Okay, yeah, because
Damn
I
it.
didn't get a chance to think about my second
All
one.
right, all
All right, I'll start
Because
with
I
the-
have 2. I don't.
I'll start with the one I grew up with,
Okay.
which was
Oh, wait, of course I know my second
80s rock.
80s rock.
80s
Okay.
rock.
Nice.
That's
Is this
what-
your pop teaching you?
This is my pop.
Yeah, okay. Because
Yeah.
it's definitely influenced my dad too.
Yeah,
The
so
80s, 70s, 80s rock.
Anytime we hung out, or which is seldom because he worked a lot and didn't have much of a relationship growing up with him. But whenever we did, it was always 80s rock. That's what we were listening to in the early days. So anytime I heard that, I was in a good mood because I got to hang out with my dad.
I do
That's
notice
awesome.
that when we drive up to like PAX or like some place like that, I'll hear it hinted into some of your playlists there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I sprinkle a little bit in
Yeah,
here and there.
a little bit of pepper. A little bit of pepper.
Just a little bit.
Like who you usually listen
Well,
to?
I gotta get to that one.
Oh, sorry.
Don't get into the next topic.
Uh,
All right. What about you? What's your?
so the genre?
Yeah,
so-
let's do one of your favorite genres.
Oh, okay. So I guess mine would be like 60s and 70s, like the
Okay.
classic kind of psychedelic rock.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I like
Okay.
all that trippy
The
experimental stuff with the
Yeah.
guitars. Yeah, the really whiny long
Hendrix.
guitars.
Yeah,
All
the
right.
Yeah,
the
and then-
testing of those toxic sounds.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
Oh,
right when they
man.
were starting to get into like, let's use other things besides instruments
Yeah.
to make music, and then they
Make-
started playing with weird
Yeah,
things,
like
Drugs
talk
can make you
boxes,
really
things like
creative.
that.
sounds, and yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite genres for sure. I love that stuff.
Okay. One of mine is I'm gonna go with this one, EDM. Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh.
say
Dang, you
I gotta
stole
lap.
mine.
I gotta lap all of them in there. We might have different reasons why we like it. EDM to me is like you can totally just lose yourself in it, and
Yeah.
like you can have it on in the background. You can fully listen to it. And to me, like a lot of EDM songs, like you can listen to like 3 or 4 times, and you'll hear them differently every single time. Like you'll hear another sound, and you're like, "What was that? Like, did they update the song?" But yeah, like I love EDM. I gotta say the full thing. I can't say like any of those subgenres because I
There's
I
too
love
many.
so many different ones.
There's way
that-
too many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying EDM. What about you, Steven?
Man, I have so many.
Let's just go
Definitely
one for
not
now.
country. Start with
Not
that. So
country.
I apologize
Yeah, me
if
either.
anyone's a country fan.
Understand.
You know, I, Let's see. I talked a lot about rap, so I'll stick with EDM on this one. There's something about like, and I will go into specifics here as far as genres because there's a certain feel that pertains to my childhood. And when I was a kid, I used to play a lot of racing video games. Pretty much that's all I played because that's all I was good at. I couldn't do anything else. Like Donkey Kong, my little brother would kick my ass. GoldenEye, same thing.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do first person shooters. I couldn't do third person anything. So it was pretty much racing. And the racing games that I played had a common theme as far as the soundtracks, and it was very hard rock feel, and it was very gangster rap feel, and then it was very EDM. And the EDM was the stuff that would take place during the races. And it was high energy stuff. You get band or groups like Noisia, Foreign Beggars, God, trying to think of some other ones just off the top of my head. Diesel Boy, a lot of dubstep, a lot of early stuff like that. And there's just a feel about it that makes you want to make bad decisions. It's hard to explain it any other way. Like my playlists on Spotify, I have two main playlists that I listen to. One's called Space Out, and it's all my sad rap and all that. And then I've got the other one, which is Speed Bumps, which is a combination of the hardcore rap, and then it's all this EDM that I used to listen to when I was playing these racing games. And it's just you turn it up, and it makes you make bad decisions, especially when you're in a car.
Yeah.
I mean, you get up to like 6,000-7,000 RPM, and the sound of the car mixes with the music so well, and downshifting and all that. Like it just brings back memories, and it kind of makes you feel invincible. And that's, I think, the biggest attraction for EDM for me, is because it, once again, like you said, it kind of lets you immerse yourself in it, and that's
you become
huge
a part
for
of
me.
the moment kind of thing.
Yeah, like when you're listening to rap, or honestly a lot of other genres, there's a lot more lyricism involved. And so you tend to focus on that. But when you listen to EDM, it's a lot more sound. It's a lot more melody and harmony. It's a lot more drums. And that is a very deadly combination. So
That's the kind of stuff I like to listen to when I'm zoning out or going to sleep, just because it's so like melodic, and
right.
you just kind of, oh yeah, okay, I can like kind of drift to this.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Well, I like that, EDM, like for me, it can totally fit to, it's so versatile. Like it can fit to any mood that you want it to be. Like if I want to focus on something, EDM, man, like that'll get me through a project. I'll finish a project in a night, like 9 hours straight.
Lo-fi type music
Yeah, I
going on.
love those live YouTube channels.
Yeah,
that
Yeah,
It
man.
seems
put
to be a
on
theme
music.
now. Yeah, everyone just does
Yep.
like lo-fi now.
And then if you just want to space out and you're just trying to get your job done, not having to like, pay attention to, lyrics or anything like that, EDM is where you want to be. You just want to zone out.
There was an article, I didn't fully read the article, but like there that went into depth of that people are more productive when they listen to video game music. So if
Interesting.
you listen to EDM, which video game music kind of slips in there somewhere, specifically like video game soundtracks, there's something about how those are made, where they are designed so that you can like feel like you're accomplishing something.
It pushes you to
Yeah,
continue.
so when you're getting to the end of the song, that's usually the end of the level. So if you're like getting to that point, you're going like at that point. There's something in your brain that triggers feeling like you are succeeding at the game.
I have a specific experience with that actually, because when Elder Scrolls 5 came out, that was 5, right? That's Dragon
Skyrim?
or Skyrim, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So when I was playing that, okay, so it's like you're walking up this trail, right? And the music's just kind of picking up, and it's na na na, it's like all acoustic and like orchestral and all that. And then right as you go above this ridge and you see Whiterun for the first time, it just like
It's a big reveal.
yeah, and it's just like it breaks into this like really just grand music, and it's like the sun's coming up behind the castle, and it's like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh my god, I've just been transported to a land of dragons.
I know I'm going to spend the rest of the day on this.
Yes, and then I spent the next 8 hours playing Elder Scrolls. It's like,
What about you, Ashton? What's your second favorite genre?
My second, it definitely would have been EDM, mainly for,
If that's what you want to use, you can do it.
definitely because I can use it for anything. I'm not going to get into subgenres. It's going to take way too long. But if I want to chill, EDM. If I don't want to think about anything, sometimes, if you're your brain won't shut off, which happens to me quite frequently. It just won't fucking shut up. It's like I got a million people in my head sometimes, so I just kind of turn on some EDM, some lo-fi, hip-hop,
Yeah.
a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And
You can give all those people something to vibe to up there.
yeah, let them all chill out. Let them, get on some nice chill vibes. Or, if I need to do something and I need like, motivation, or I need to, stay on task, I shut everything else off. I turn on some EDM, some like hardcore shit. Like one of my favorite playlists that I play on YouTube is like an hour of, one of my favorite franchises in video games is Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I like remixes of their soundtracks
Yeah,
because
there's
they
a lot of
have
people
good
that
tracks
like
as it is. But EDM remixes of them, oh my god, man,
Man.
they get me.
Yeah.
Man.
That was like my first experience with EDM, I think, was hearing a Legend of Zelda. I can't remember which one it was, but probably one of like the most well-known, like the main theme or something.
Yeah.
But it was like a dubstep version. It's like, this is the coolest thing I've ever
yeah,
heard.
it's super cool. It's just like it helps you reimagine like certain things, and like I wish like one thing, not to get too off topic, but one thing I wish is that for like the game Twilight Princess, it was kind of more like digital, kind of like it was their darker game. But there were one or two tracks in there that were kind of more on the EDM side, which is weird for a Zelda game, other than like the early stages, like back in like arcade days from the top downs. Because now it's all orchestral and all that. But they had like a little, like couple of the tracks in there had a hint of EDM in them, and it just fits so well. And I was like, this is pretty cool. What the hell is that? I have no idea what this
What's
is.
that sound?
I'm playing on my Wii. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
That's cool sound
what is that?
engineering when you can fit that into a game that generally would have nothing to do with that
Yeah.
and still have it work.
Exactly. So I thought it was pretty cool, and that's what I think kind of sparked that interest for me.
That's awesome.
All right, Josh, what's your second one?
Okay, so I guess it's kind of like two genres, but I mean they kind of fall in the same thing. So I like satirical and like parody music.
Okay.
And
Oh, yeah, because
so-
one of your favorite artists.
Yes,
Yeah, okay, got it.
one of my favorite artists is Weird Al Yankovic. He's what got me
Yes.
into music.
Yeah.
Like
Man.
I remember when I was in the 5th grade and our teacher was having us do a lip syncing project, and
no.
one of my classmates had Bad Hair Day, and he brought in Bad Hair Day, and I remember hearing Amish Paradise and Phony Calls, and just a bunch of his famous ones off of that. And I remember seeing some of his videos on MTV at the time when I was a kid, and they had this 2-hour block called Al TV, and he would play the main video, and then he would play the song that he used to parody it. And as soon as I heard Amish Paradise, I was like, dude, music is awesome. Ever since then, like, because there's a couple other artists, like I remember listening to Ray Stevens when I was a kid.
Yes,
And
oh my
then,
God.
Yeah,
Nostalgia
and then
trip, man.
and then there's Dick Cheese, who does a bunch of like lounge music
Yep.
to like regular, Richard Cheese, but he's like a lounge singer, and he basically remixes regular songs into lounge music. So like
awesome.
it's got like Puddle of Mud, She Fucking Hates Me. Yeah,
That's
it's-
lounge music. That's amazing.
it's great. Yeah, and then
I know
there's
what I'm Googling when I go home.
and there's a couple other artists too, and then I do like because I just like when people take like normal songs that people made, and of course like those songs are good and everything, but I really like when people take those songs and make them their own, because you guys are talking about remixes and stuff, and so like I really like when people like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to parody it and make it a funny song, or even when they take two songs and mash them together, like two different genres, like
Mashups, man.
Yeah, mashups. That's the word. I couldn't think of what it was called, because there's this one guy called Mighty Mike, and he does stuff on YouTube. And yeah, he's got this one where it's like Queen's "I Want to Break Free" to Michael Jackson's "Black and White," or like he's got like a Nirvana music to like some pop song, like. And he just does all these really great mashups. So I guess just in general, I really like when people take songs and just kind of turn them into something different. But as far as like parody songs, for sure, and as part of that group, I just love Weird Al, and I make up parody songs all the time. You know that.
Yeah, no.
So yeah.
You know who you should check out? I don't think they do parodies, but you should check out Ninja Sex Party.
Oh my God,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, the Game
Yeah?
Grumps.
Oh my
Dan,
God,
Dan
they're
Howard.
so
yeah.
great.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're amazing.
They started doing a remix, well, not remixes, but redos of the songs as them doing it.
Oh.
They started doing some
And
covers.
they have a
Okay.
new album coming out that's like not a plug, but like it's. I've seen Dan like
not
post some of
Dude,
it.
I'd
I'll
love
have
to
to
meet
check it
them.
out.
I need pictures, for sure.
Yeah. But
Speaking of artists that you should check out, you may have already heard of him because he's got some critical acclaim. Bill Wirtz.
Bill Wirtz. That sounds
Bill
familiar.
Wirtz. Entire history of Japan.
Wait.
It's that 9-minute long video
Yes.
where he talks about the entire
Yes.
like from the very beginning.
Did
yeah.
he do the history of the world one
Yes,
also?
that was
okay,
him.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he also does music.
Oh,
if
I
you
didn't know that.
He's been doing these like 1-2 minute long full like he plays all the instruments down to like triangles.
man,
It's
Oh,
it's
wow.
inside level.
One man band.
It is incredible.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll have to check that out.
yeah. He's got probably 100 songs like that he's put out in the past year alone.
Oh wow.
It's
Yeah, because
endless
I've only
content.
ever seen those 2 history videos that he made. I didn't even
Yeah,
know he
check
did
out the
music.
channel, man. It's incredible stuff.
All right.
Yeah, my second one would definitely be rap. R&B would be kind of like a very close 3.
Right on.
But rap is
They kinda
definitely
intermingle a lot,
Yeah,
you know?
and the thing is like if we were doing my top 3 favorite genres of EDM, rap, and R&B, like there's kind of a theme there of like the artists that I like also kind of incorporate a lot of that. So like and they also have a lot of connections to each other. So where you'll see I like Calvin Harris on the EDM side, but I also like Travis Scott. So you see a lot of them. They do like a lot of songs together. I like Marshmello. He teamed up with Logic. He teamed up with like some other rappers. So Migos. He teamed up with Migos too. So it's like there's a lot of
Who's that one
reasons
guy
why-
you told me about?
Which one?
He did that one song with Triple X.
Oh,
God, what's his name?
oh, that was no. You're talking about. Oh yeah. So the guy that I was telling you about was Trippie Redd.
Trippie Redd.
And then he did a song with I think Calvin Harris, or did he did it with
Probably. I don't know.
the T guy. I don't know what it is.
It's
It's the
T-Pain?
Yeah, the one. Yep, T-Pain.
Mr. T.
Yeah, I can try to find.
Yeah,
it. but-
because I remember you telling me about Trippie Redd saying that he did like some kind of different stuff. You know, like he wasn't just a normal.
Diplo.
like-
He did a song with
Diplo.
Diplo.
Oh,
my
okay.
God, what a powerhouse.
And it was Wish. Wish is the one that he did. And then that song I showed James, and then James got hooked on it, and then he likes Trippie Redd. So it's like, yeah, talk about like an artist that I really wish he would just kind of like stop doing his stupid shit and then move on. But he's still with it. He's doing his own thing. But yeah, so like I definitely like rap and a lot of meldings between the 3 genres I like. So
So
yeah.
do you like mostly like the newer stuff, or?
No, I mean, okay, yeah, I would say like probably 2000s and on.
Really? You
yeah,
skipped the 90s? Are you
Because
insane?
I'm not saying I don't like it. You asked me,
It has a
do
different
you listen
appeal.
to? You said,
yeah.
do you listen to? I said the 2000s and on because that's when I started listening to it.
Yep.
So here's the thing. My first album that I bought that was an explicit album was Akon's Believe or something like that. And,
I think I have
And
that.
the thing, yeah, the blue album with Akon in the suit.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
thing
Oh
is,
my
is like
gosh.
I was not allowed to listen to that song, that album, because it was explicit. My mom would not let me
What
listen
was
to
the
it.
single off that one? I
It was
can't
the feels. Oh.
what is it? I want to make up. Nah. That was
Oh
what it was.
my God.
That's the song. And Don't Matter was on that album too.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like there's a lot of good songs, but the thing is, my mom wouldn't let me listen to it. So that was that was like middle school was when I started listening to rap, and then I started hanging out with Christian and hanging out with Jose, and
Okay.
like, a lot of their influences came into that. So my rap repertoire is more modern
That was
because
when Kanye was good.
it was.
Kanye
That's why
still
I also,
is good.
Eh.
That's why I also have on my phone I have Daft Punk and Kanye.
Yes.
So it's like, so the thing
I
is,
love Daft Punk. They're great.
And Daft Punk was one of the first that I started getting in EDM. So, like to me, it's always been that theme, and I'm not saying that those other songs like by Tupac or by NWA or like any of those,
Outcast,
like
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
those songs, I like them. I like the sounds of them. I just don't know a lot of them, so I haven't been like educated on it. Like when I was getting brought up in music was my dad's side, and like you with your mom, it was a lot of Christian music.
Yeah.
So when I got crossed over to like, I guess modern Christian music was like with Toby Mac and with
yes.
POD.
POD was because I was
Oh
a
my
WWE fan. So
What about
my-
Creed?
Creed is a little bit. My mom loves Creed.
Oh,
but
okay. I was
there's-
just curious because I know they're like you
because
know.
they're known Christians.
Yeah.
Well, like what else? What's another famous like? Isn't what's the one Bono's a part of?
Bono?
Yeah.
Oh god, dude,
What
I couldn't
bands?
tell you
U2?
anything about
Yeah,
Bono.
U2's also a Christian
Oh,
band.
I like you too.
So it's like
Interesting.
a lot of people are Christians and are a band, but they're not a
Right.
Christian band.
Like Skillet.
Exactly. They do some religious. kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
it's in the message, but it's
Yeah.
not like
But
the
that's
main thing.
you don't have to be to listen to it.
Yeah.
I also think what else? NF.
I was just
Oh,
about to
God,
say
yeah.
him.
Like,
yeah.
he's definitely
the man.
Yeah,
become, like,
and it's funny
really-
because he's done interviews where he's like, "I'm a Christian and I'm a rapper," but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm a Christian
and that's
rapper.
where a lot
You
of
know,
people are like going with like Lecrae has also been stating that. Andy Mineo is also doing that. So it's like I kind of faded into it. I went from Christian music and I still love the Christian music sound. Like Stephen Chris Chapman, like to this day, I will say is one of my favorite artists because it's just what he can do with a guitar and just vocals is beyond what I can. Chris
Yeah.
Tomlin, I mean, not very much original music coming from him, but there's
But his spin on it.
yeah, but his hems that he's kind of brought to the modern age is definitely really good. So it's like that fade into when I was a WWE fan, found out POD did Rey Mysterio's song.
Oh, yeah.
So and then I told my dad about it, and my dad's like, they're a Christian band, right? I was like, no. And so then I looked at, and I started just buying, like I bought Alive and Satellite, and it's just like, oh man, like the greatest hits.
Man, Alive was my jam back in
And
the day.
and then what was it? When Angels and Serpents Dance was a really good album that I associate to Gears of War because when you can install games to your hard drive and then play them in the background, that song I would have on loop. That album I would have on
Yes.
loop, and I would just be playing Gears of War while doing that. That also happened to me when I
killing
was
aliens to Christian rock
yeah,
bands.
exactly. And then when I was playing the Saboteur, I was listening to Drake's "Thank Me Now." Or thank me,
Oh,
you
Thank
can
Me
thank
Later.
Yeah, thank me
Yeah.
later. And I had that album going through loop.
That's so-
And
man, that
I
brings back
associate
memories,
those
man.
albums to those games, which is kind of funny. But yeah, and then I faded it from that, and I was like, oh yeah, these people kind of sound like this, and so I kind of went to EDM and then faded out to rap, modern rap now.
Now, did video games get you guys into specific genres of music?
I
'Cause
think so.
Oh,
I know
absolutely.
it got me into jazz. Like
Yeah.
I got really big
Really?
into jazz from SimCity, playing
Okay.
SimCity,
Oh,
SimCity
right.
2000, SimCity 3000, and onward. And they just always had these cool like midnight club jazzy tracks in the background. And I'm just like, dude, this music's pretty good. And then like my dad listened to a jazz station when I was a kid, so I was like, oh, this is the same kind of music on SimCity. And then it's
You
like,
felt that See,
yeah.
there's something about music where you just feel that connection to where you're like, oh yeah, this is that thing. It's kind of like you kept saying, like nostalgia.
Yeah.
There's that
Yeah.
trip that triggers. Like I didn't. I just got like Apple Music like a couple of months ago, and then I was like, oh yeah, I like when
Yeah, it does
Scorpion
the
came out,
suggestions
Yeah.
and
when
stuff like that.
I was like, oh yeah, that's right, this album. So then I downloaded it and I started listening to it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally remember like the levels that I was playing when I was listening to this song. Like Fireworks, I have such a connection to playing Saboteur because I really like the song Fireworks from there.
It's awesome.
And
man.
yeah,
I used to do the same thing, man. I had the original Xbox, and I had Driver 3,
Oh,
and I had Family Force 5's.
nice.
God, what album was
That's
it?
another Christian band.
Yeah.
It's Family Force 5.
It was whatever their the one that had the trike, the gold painted trike on
Is
the,
that
on the
the one?
logo.
Oh,
3, I think it was
5?
called.
Yeah,
3,
something like that. Yeah, it's
So,
a number.
Family Force 5's 3, just a ridiculous album. I mean, those guys are something else.
Yeah.
And
Have you ever heard the song "Hold Up, Wait a Minute, Put
Yeah.
a Little Love in It"?
Yeah.
Yeah, they start.
Man.
That's Family Force 5.
oh.
And the new album, I liked the new album. You know, not having. Oh man, I can't even remember their names now. They all have weird names. There's like
Soul Glow Activator.
Soul Glow Activator is no longer a part of
Crouton.
it. Crouton. They're all brothers.
Crouton.
And then
Who
the
else is?
the other one. Yeah. I think the oldest brother's name's Crouton.
That's
man.
funny.
Yeah.
Dude, I totally. So I just rearranged a bunch of furniture in our room, and I got this Bluetooth speaker for my birthday, and I put it up on a curtain rod, and you can like strap it in, and just blast it really loud. And my girlfriend doesn't like all the same music that I like, so I just, just to be funny and a dick that I am, I started picking weird shit that I never even listened to. And we found out that our dog has a music preference.
My bad.
Yeah.
Is it that?
That would be awesome. No, but my dog has a music preference.
Interesting.
She likes jazz. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's
what?
funny.
I'm with it.
Which we never listened to. I've never listened to like. I mean, I listen to like Kenny G in like a restaurant, and like Kenny G is
so
like
smooth.
Yeah. I don't listen to jazz, but I listen to Kenny G. So it's like,
Kenny G. I mean,
Kenny G
he
is
kind of
He's your intro, like
he kind of fell off the planet a little bit, but that's all right. But
he's
yeah,
got some
turn
good
that
stuff.
on. She doesn't even like respond to music or anything like that. But as soon as like jazz kicked on, she just like walked up to the speaker and just tilted her head and just looked at it for like 5 minutes.
interesting.
She's like,
weird.
what is this
Yeah.
beautiful sound coming out of this
communicating with
thing?
Kenny G.
So
Yeah, man.
before we get too far, what was your second to last topic? I mean, not topic.
Genre.
Genre.
It's.
Second.
I feel bad
second
because I said EDM first, but rap is kind of the first one. But they're kind of equal, just because of when I came onto both of them, like as finding them, and I did find them through video games.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like Need for Speed, definitely. EA's
Yep.
whoever's in charge of EA's sound is my best friend.
Yeah, they have a
My
lot
thing
of
Because
is
you
good.
said
WWE.
sound.
Whoever's
Yeah.
in charge of the WWE
Yeah,
games.
because they just
And all
there
their
were
sports
songs
games
that
have
weren't
good-
like huge yet, but when that's your first experience with music, like because I was homeschooled, I didn't have any other music to listen to. Like I didn't know any of these groups, but yeah, rap was definitely the biggest genre from all inspirations, and there's just so much. Like I could talk about it all day. I'm not going to, obviously, but yeah, like the different kinds of raps that like from where I started listening to, which was like gangster rap, but not classic gangster rap. Like yeah, I'm the same with Ryan. Like I didn't grow up on that kind of music. I didn't grow up on Wu-Tang Clan. I didn't grow up on Biggie or Pac. I can see the appeal. I listen to them. I can enjoy them, but it's a disconnect for me. Mainly because I don't. That's not my style. It's not necessarily what I'm into. But also there's a lyrical disconnect as well, because I know nothing about gangbanging. I know nothing about that.
Oh, yeah.
That's not my world. So like I can't connect to the lyrics. They sound cool, but I can't connect to them.
And it's really a product of its time. Like the
Exactly.
90s, there was a lot of stuff going on,
and there was a
with
lot
that
of beef
whole-
going on.
Yeah,
So it's like everything's really, really, really charged, and you can hear it. Like there's tension.
Yeah.
There's audible tension. But yeah, like 2000s rap. I don't particularly like a lot of 2000s rap because it was kind of that era where everybody started doing collaborations with one another. Like Young Money blew up, so it was like Nicki Minaj and Lil Wayne on everybody's songs. Eminem was on everybody's songs. All these pop songs on the radio, like one of them had a verse in or something. Like some of those I liked, but it was. I think Eminem was probably the biggest out of those that was enjoyable for me, just because of that appeal. You know, I don't give a shit attitude about anything.
I like it.
Yeah, I like that.
Like I think the first album, first explicit album I ever bought, I don't know how I convinced my dad to get it for me. I don't know if if his eyesight was going bad or what, but big old parental advisory sticker. We'd gone to Walmart and I picked up Recovery.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah.
I played it for him on the way home. He's like, "What is this garbage?" I'm like, it's like, this is art.
Yeah.
But my mom found it 2 days later and smashed it and threw it away. So
Yeah, my-
dream's dead.
My mom. So I remember the album was called. Did I say it was called Freedom, or was it
For which one?
was the Akon album? But
Oh,
anyway,
yeah, I
I
think
really,
you did,
I
yeah.
really wanted an Akon album. That was like my one person that I wanted to actually get an album from, and then I bought it. It didn't have a parental advisory logo on it though.
Wow.
And so
That's
that was what was
wild.
weird. It was, and then as soon as my mom like heard it, she was like, yeah, you're not gonna take this. And so she took it from me, and I didn't listen to it for like 3 years, and then
Damn.
eventually I got it. And because I snuck in there, I just took it because I was like, "Hey, I want to put some music on my MP3 player, MP3, not an iPod, an MP3 player, little like SanDisk piece of shit."
I had so many of those.
And so yeah, I took that and I started loading songs on there, and I was flipping through all the CDs, and I'm like, "It's here," and then I just loaded the whole thing on there. I didn't even care what was on it. I was like, "Boom." Here you go.
It's part of my childhood.
Oh man.
So, yeah.
I was lucky enough, like, my parents didn't really care what music I listened to. They were more about, like, what I watched. So, like, I wasn't allowed to watch, like, South Park, Beavis and Butthead, none of that kind of stuff. Yeah. But when it came to, like, rap music and stuff, I'd be listening to, like, Tupac and Biggie and all that. And
that's kind of weird. That's the exact reverse of what my parents did. Visually, I can see it. I can't listen, so.
Yeah, and it was. I always thought that was kind of funny because, like, I was really surprised, that they didn't censor the music, but I don't know, maybe they saw music as more freedom of expression or art or whatever, as opposed to visually seeing, like, somebody getting their head chopped off or somebody getting shit thrown in their face or something, and it's or boobs.
I've seen
God
those shit
forbid,
throwing movies.
And it's
they
like,
really throw those around.
Well, I'm thinking of South Park in specifics, but because
was that it?
Because what I'm thinking of is the video game. They saw me playing South Park on the N64 and like throwing piss snowballs and launching cows and
that
stuff.
game. That was great.
Yeah, and it was like a first-person shooter, South Park, and they got really mad at like that kind of stuff. But yeah, when I'd listen to gangster rap from the '90s or anything with swearing or anything about like sex or whatever, they didn't care about the music. That was fine. My stepsister too, she was like a couple years younger than I was, and she was listening to stuff like that, and they didn't care. So it was,
right.
it was really, I don't know, it's kind of funny.
So we are in our final 15 minutes.
That was fast.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It goes fast.
Wow.
It goes fast. An hour can go fast. So quickly, we're just gonna say our 2 favorite artists.
Oh, are you fucking serious?
And-
Right at the end, you're gonna make me figure
and
this
just-
out.
and just go off. Okay. Do you need 5? Do you want 2 or 5?
5.
Okay.
Ooh,
I've got
5.
mine.
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
done.
that's a little bit easier.
Okay. So Ashton, go.
Me?
Just say all 5 of them. We'll talk about it at the end.
Okay.
Whatever remaining time we have, we'll just talk about it.
Shit.
Okay, hold on.
Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
Green Day.
Got it.
Nirvana.
Got it.
Shit. 2008 Kanye graduation.
Okay.
Uh,
Very specific. I don't know anyone that didn't have that album. All right. And
shit.
Last one.
There's
these are no in particular order, so there's
no, they're not.
Heaven forbid.
There's an EDM one that I like.
Oh man.
I will say, just because of like as of late, Marshmello.
Okay.
All right.
Josh.
Okay,
what
and
do you
then
got?
some of my bands probably people don't know or the singer or whatever, but I already said Weird Al, so he's obviously in there.
Okay.
Pink Floyd's my favorite band.
Nice.
And then I like this guy. His name's Jimmy Necco. He sings for the band Hours, but he also does some solo stuff. But he's like got really emotional music, so I just really like it. It's really depressing. I also a newer addition to like high genre list, and it's kind of like a newer rap singer, but I really like Post Malone.
You stole mine.
Post Malone.
Yeah, like
Good.
because he's like really coming up right now. But I was listening to some of his stuff, like before he started getting like really really famous, and it was like, okay, yeah, this guy's pretty cool. Like I really just like his vibe, And then for a 5th one, I don't know. There's a lot of good music in there. I think I'm gonna have to go with maybe the Beatles, probably.
Really?
because I like the Beatles and Pink Floyd are 2 bands that I have pretty much every album. I've listened to them religiously, and I know pretty much like all their songs. So because when I was really getting into that classic music phase, like I was getting into that psychedelic Beatles era and Pink Floyd stuff, and I mean I was listening to Zeppelin and things like that, but. Yeah, I'd say Beatles would probably be number 5.
Okay. Again, this is no particular order for me because I like a lot of these guys pretty equally. Childish Gambino. I really like Donald Glover, and so like I knew him as a comedian first, and I feel like that's kind of the journey you have to take with him in order to understand what his music is really about. Because a lot of his stuff like is pretty true, but it's also jokey. So if you don't like that, then like for example, Jose doesn't like Childish Gambino, but I don't think he didn't know him as a comedian first.
Yeah.
And so if you don't get him from there, you don't get him there. Anyway, so Childish Gambino probably a really high up there if I was to put him in order. Chris Brown, I know he's come with a lot of baggage, but like Chris Brown to me, I've seen him live. I have so many songs that I like know of his and I like listening to, and it's just like there's a lot of stuff that he's kind of like gone through, and like he kind of speaks pretty through it. So and a lot of his stuff is a lot of like, you know, it can go from relationship problems to having a good relationship to just having a fucking party. Like literally, that's a song he has. So it's like, and I like his voice a lot. So I think even though if like it's auto-tuned or not, he is doing it. Also the collabs he does with them, he can he'll pick somebody and they usually succeed really well. Like
It's flawless.
It's pretty crazy of how many collaborations he has with people. I also gotta say DJ Snake. There's a lot of songs that he does that are like just absolute, like his album that he came out with before that single that he just did. I don't really like the single that he just did, but the Encore album is, oh my gosh, it's so good. I gotta say Drake, just because like there's a lot of songs Drake does. I prefer him more as the singer Drake. A lot of people do like rap Drake, but I like rap Drake. There's a few rap songs that I like as his, but I'm usually the R&B Drake, so that's kind of my take on it. How many is that? That's 4.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Childish Gambino, Chris Brown, DJ. Yeah, okay. So then one more. Man, I've got to say Marshmello, just because like I listened to him before I knew he was Marshmello. Like I listened to him on Monster Cat, and then like eventually he started coming up, and then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He did a song with so and so. I don't really know who that person is. And then all of a sudden, like I see him touring, and then last year was crazy. Like he did the whole Fortnite thing with Ninja, and he did this all. I'm like, dude, man, coming up in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna break my rule. Shout out to J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar. Like honestly, those two guys have got to be probably the kings of rap at this point.
I agree.
There's just so much poetic things that happen from him. I'm gonna segue into your thing because I know J. Cole's on your list. So it's like
You over here reading my list?
No, I just know. But like
Cheating.
J. Cole and Kendrick, like those two guys have got such poetic things that come out, and when they say something, man, especially J. Cole is like, boom, it hits you, and he really means it.
Oh yeah.
And Kendrick is just like, oh man, there's so many lyric things that he does. So go ahead. What is yours?
Oh, well, you're
Finish us
right.
out here.
J. Cole's definitely on it.
Okay.
There's been songs from him that I've, like the first time I've heard it, I've gotten emotional. I mean, there's just so much there, you know. DJ Shadow,
DJ Shadow.
one of the biggest DJs in my opinion that has classic feel. You know, real samples, real turntablism, and probably has played on some movies that you've seen. I think he did some stuff in Baby Driver most recently.
Okay.
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh,
Because-
okay. All right.
Because 90s rock in general is just my thing. I could go off for days on 90s rock because that was what I grew up on.
Yeah.
Some good shit.
But there's the California appeal because I'm one of those people that, like, for some reason I've always felt that emotional, like, heart pull to go to California, even though
Yeah, it's the West Side.
You know,
feel.
yeah, exactly.
We're from Washington. We got that stuff,
we need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Post Malone.
Okay.
Because,
he's
I
on my
mean,
subsection too.
yeah,
I like
same.
Post Malone too.
I am 100% straight, but that is the one guy that I have a man crush on because he is just incredible. I mean, yes, he can't do a live show for shit. Like, I don't know if you guys heard his New Year's show. Don't bother. He's a great singer. Live shows are not great, but his the I don't know what he does, that weird yodeling thing.
Oh, that.
I don't know how he does it.
He does auto-tune. Like that's his thing. He's even admitted it. Like he goes,
but-
I can't
but
do that part. Like that's all auto-tune.
Yeah, but just
he uses
just the
it.
fact that he has that, and
Yeah.
that's a classical thing.
Oh no, that's definitely.
And a country thing, and he uses that in the style of music he does. But yeah, Post Malone, one of my biggest inspirations.
And number five,
Damon Albarn.
I don't know who this is.
What?
Who?
You've heard him.
Okay.
He is the songwriter and lyricist for Gorillaz.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Is he like 2D?
yeah,
or whatever?
he's 2D. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which one of them is?
And he was part of Blur also. He was like the singer for Blur.
Yeah, lead singer for Blur.
Yeah.
2D. I don't know if you remember. Skinny dude.
He's the one with
always
the black
sings the really
eyes.
melancholy hooks.
Oh,
Or-
he's like
Yeah.
the lead person of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, he's
Yeah.
like missing some teeth
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and yeah.
So yeah, Damon Albarn.
I was thinking Gorillas. I was thinking about putting them as number 5 because I really like Gorillas.
That's another one of those bands that just like came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's just like what
They kind of came and went.
Oh,
where'd
no,
they
they're
go?
still around.
They
They
just made
just
a new
started
album,
doing
didn't
a new
they?
one.
Yeah, I think they just released like
Yeah.
their 5th or 6th album, and
Yep.
the greatest thing about Gorillas is the entire time it's been a coherent story. Like
Yeah, that's my favorite
Oh
part.
yeah,
It's just, like,
I just
so much
watched the
lore
whole
behind it.
yeah I just watched the whole thing where it was like the whole story of Gorillas in one video, and they went through
Yes.
all the albums and like all the story about like what happened with Plastic Beach, and then like Noodles, like she was a cyborg at one point.
Yep, like she died.
oh,
They got the cyborg
yeah.
version of her, and like oh my gosh.
And then just recently, I want to say, is it Murdoch's in jail, and they just got
Yeah.
a new bassist or something like that from an
crazy.
actual band. Like he's like a real person.
That's so awesome.
Yeah,
I love
it's
that.
Pretty
like
crazy how that whole idea was. I
know,
to
dude.
like come around that
It's
thing.
amazing. But yeah, Damon Albarn, frontman for Blur and voice and brains behind Gorillaz. If you've ever heard his solo stuff, it is so emotional. It's the same melancholy sound that you'll get listening to like a Gorillaz hook, but it's the whole song is that way.
Nice.
And you get this it's weird. It's like a sense of dread because you're like it feels like he's singing about death. But it's
So is
not. It could be something
does it
totally
cross
different.
the line into a Tool song, or does it?
No,
like,
it's
'Cause that's pretty
it's
dreadful.
just it's wild. Like it's really really sad sometimes when you listen to his lyrics, but at the same time he makes it sound happy. So it's still Gorillaz ish, but it's all I think it's all organic instruments. So it's voice, acoustic guitar, and I think like some sort of drum system. But yeah, incredible. If you get a chance, check him out. Damon Albarn, just amazing.
Okay. Well, we got 4 minutes. So, is there any last minute things that you had on that as your notes, or?
I have so many things on there I didn't even talk about.
Oh, okay.
'Cause
Maybe
I'm
we'll
so
have you back on.
unorganized.
We'll have you
Yeah,
back
we'll
on.
have
we'll have to have a
another
part
one.
2 at
Yeah,
some
yeah,
point,
yeah.
I'm sure.
That'd be incredible.
Music the second edition or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, the only other thing I just wanted to bring up that I'm with a really amazing group of people that has been one of my biggest inspirations to keep going.
Okay.
Because I'm 24.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a couple months away from that quarter-year crisis, I guess.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
like, nobody thinks that they're going to still be making music like this, like rap style at 24, because it's like, oh, I should move on. I should, go back to school, or I should do this or do that. But it's an art form to me, whether it's art perceived by other people or not. It's something that I enjoy doing. And I met this group of people. It just started up being one guy. His name is Patrick George, and we met on Xbox playing Grand Theft Auto.
Okay.
And he was freestyling in the chat, and I was like, "Dude, you're fucking lit! It's awesome." And we started talking. He's I think he was living in Florida at the time, but he started this group called Forever Lit, and there's now like 30 of us in this group. Like most of us are just people that have joined because we see the appeal of it, but we have a couple of like hardcore members that have been there from the beginning. There's me, there's Patrick George, our guy who does all of our mixing and mastering, Josh Tollin, aka King Digit. We've got a guy from Canada. His name's Pure Verb, Craig Pace. Amazing rapper. If you get a chance, check him out. Who else do we have on there? We got Dodge None. I can't remember where he's from, but he's incredible too. But these are like people that are in the same frame of mind as me. They're in the same, like, they've been in the same situations. They've been in the same like financial hardships, life hardships. And we all managed to come into this group together. And every time one of us posts a link or posts a snippet of something we're working on, like the love that we get back is incredible. And there's something about that. If you're a creator, it doesn't matter if it's music, it doesn't matter if it's videography, like a podcast or anything else, like any combination of that. If you can find a group of people to work with who are just as passionate as you, like that's all you need.
Yeah, I mean,
because that's enough motivation.
This is kind of a thing that I was talking with Ashton about, is like going back, and to relate with you and I, is like going back to our biblical days. It's like the iron sharpens iron thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, as whatever, if you're religious or not, it really does work of like having that group with you.
It's
kind of do
mentorship, but it's where you realize you're on common ground.
Yeah.
And you try to take and give to one another what knowledge and experience you have, whether it's through conversation or just through working together and finding ways to break ground. So
Yeah, you can only be as strong as the people surrounding you.
Exactly.
All right, and on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys want to listen to more, make sure you definitely subscribe to us here on iTunes. If you're on Apple device, or if you're on Android, go and subscribe to us right there on Podbean. If you're watching on YouTube, you're watching the video version of the sound waves, you're watching the little orb float around, then go ahead and
zoning out to that orb, man.
Go ahead and hit subscribe as well. Tap the bell button to get notified when new episodes get uploaded. Man, season 2 of PT3600 is on its way. And we're having a good one. This was a good episode. Thank you, Steven, for stopping by. I'll let you kind of take the rest of this to where can we. What are all the plugs? Throw out all the plugs. What you want to do? Where can we follow you? Listen to your music.
Well, I'm on pretty much every streaming service. I've got a couple of songs on Spotify. It's St. Crown Music. That's generally where you're gonna find me. If you just Google St. Crown Music on iTunes, YouTube, etc. Instagram, I think, is Young Cholesterol. Twitter, I think, is Young Cholesterol. Yep. That's my gamer tag. It's just because I eat a lot of spaghetti and other fatty foods. So I'm well aware of my health. But yeah, that's pretty easy to find me there.
And we'll put all the links in the description below here too. If you
you just want to click on them.
Yeah, just tap them, send you off into that Maryland.
And I'll plug Forever Lit one more time, just because those guys are so incredibly talented, and I'm blessed to be a part of the group. It's Forever Lit Records, I think, is our page on Facebook, and if you look them up on YouTube, they got all of our songs. We've done some collaborations together, but we got big things coming this year, some music videos and some other cool stuff. So keep your eyes and your ears peeled.
Alrighty, well, we're gonna end the episode with your new song "Sheep," and it's definitely really awesome. So why don't we just? Is there anything you want to say about "Sheep" before we send it off to it?
It's just one of those songs that I started writing because I heard the beat and I was like, "This is an amazing beat." But as it kind of grew on, I found a topic for it, and "Sheep" is kind of about how a lot of artists these days, not necessarily mainstream artists, but people trying to start creating, and not even necessarily just musicians, but people in general. Everybody believes that they're going to make it. Everybody believes that they're going to be the next big thing. And instead of choosing to make art, they choose to follow this kind of golden calf of, fame or fortune or what have you. All this stuff that feels like it's just out of their reach. But if they do harder this year, they'll make it or whatever. And the song is kind of a reminder to just relax a little bit and remember why you started doing it. So,
alrighty. Well, there you go. There will be no outro music for us. You're just going to listen to it, and then at the last 20 seconds, you'll see all the logos pop up, indicating it's the end of the show. So thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you guys
Speaking of keeping my mouth shut, I bounce up. I'm UK with the weight, keeping the pounds up. I be a Yank, but I'm happier out the States, cause I lace, lot of snakes, grass high as the stakes. Enjoying this new mower, couldn't cut it. That's why he got so pissed at young Sinatra, Sriracha bars, the charts plummet. Obviously y'all love it, and most do. But that's the difference between sheep and the chosen few. I got a joke for you, it's called a rap game. No matter what you put in, people say rap's lame. The reputation got a mad stain. All of these little imitators ain't hard as they face task claim. So face facts, fame, you ain't gonna be the best. The best ain't yet to come, it's already laid to rest. Think I'm an old head? Well, you're damn right. It's time y'all went to bed, it's about to be a long night. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4. You ever wonder why we count sheep for? 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4. Will I ever get to sleep, dear Lord? Like 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4. You ever wonder why we count sheep for? 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4. And if you tryna be the best, baby, just quit now. They promise you'll never make it. Go sit down. See, I ain't one for killing dreams, but you ain't bring a thing that they ain't ever seen from a small ass town. Breaking back for 1250, an angle to grind. Every 365 in the back of my mind. Underground, still I'm buying the time, and still I'm buying a beast, but I got the design. Can't tour to save my life, cause the fan base low, so I'ma buy 100 tickets just to pay for the show. That's how it works when the game's saturated in foe. If you doing what I'm doing, then I know that you know. Unless you got the cash flow, you ain't scaling the paywall. These hot rappers ball, but they brains on AWOL. Benny Bills bringing more pain than they solve, cause soul first dough, never wait for the face off. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4. You ever wonder why we count sheep for? 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4. Will I ever get to sleep, dear Lord? Like 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4. You ever wonder why we count sheep for? 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4. Speak now with the shepherd and hope he spit back. A million miles away, you hit a split crack. Wide open your eyes and see the world change. Sheep led to the slaughter, never see wolf mane. Speak now with the shepherd and hope he spit back. A million miles away, you hit a split crack. Wide open your eyes and see the world change. Sheep led to the slaughter, never see wolf mane.